Here we go. Day 13. We're at the top of page 124. Dally was arguing with one of the nurses when we came in. He grinned at us. Man, am I glad to see you. These hospital people won't let me smoke, and I want out. We sat down, grinning at each other. Dally was his usual mean, ornery self. He was okay. Shepard came by to see me a while ago. That's what Johnny said. What did he want? Said he saw my picture in the paper and couldn't believe it didn't have wanted dead or alive under it. He mostly came to rub it in about the Rumble. Man, I hate not being in that. Only last week, Tim Shepard had cracked 3 of Dally's ribs, but Dally and Tim Shepard have always been buddies. No matter how they fought, they were two of a kind, and they knew it. Dally was grinning at me. Kid, you scared the devil out of me the other day. I thought I'd killed you. Me? I said, puzzled. Why? When you jumped out of the church. I meant to hit you just hard enough to knock you down and put out the fire. But then you dropped like a ton of lead. I thought I'd aimed too high and broke your neck. He thought for a minute. I'm glad I didn't, though. I'll bet, I said with a grin. I'd never liked Dally, but then for the first time I felt like he was my buddy. And all because he was glad he hadn't killed me. Dally looked out the window. He sounded very casual. How's the kid? We just left him, Two Bit said, and I could tell that he was debating whether to tell Dally the truth or not. I don't know about stuff like this, but, well, he seemed pretty bad to me. He passed out cold before we left him. Dally's jawline went white as he swore between clenched teeth. Two Bit, you still got that fancy black-handled switch? Yeah. Give it here. Two Bit reached into his back pocket for his prized possession. It was a jet-handled switchblade, 10 inches long, that would flash open at a mere breath. It was the reward of 2 hours of walking aimlessly around a hardware store to divert suspicion. He kept it razor sharp. As far as I knew, he had never pulled it on anyone. He used his plain pocket knife when he needed a blade, but it was his showpiece, his pride and joy. Every time he ran into a new hood, oh, a person, I was thinking neighborhood. Every time he ran into a new hood, he pulled it out and showed it off. Dally knew how much that knife meant to Two Bit, and if he needed a blade bad enough to ask for it, well, he needed a blade. That's all there was to it. Two Bit handed it over to Dally without a moment's hesitation. We got to win that fight tonight, Dally said. His voice was hard. We got to get even with the Socs for Johnny. He put the switch under his pillow and lay back, staring at the ceiling. We left. We knew better than to talk to Dally when his eyes were blazing and he was in a mood like that. We decided to catch a bus home. I didn't feel much like walking or trying to hitch a ride. Two Bit left me sitting on the bench at the bus stop while he went to a gas station to buy some cigarettes. I was kind of sick to my stomach and sort of groggy. I was nearly asleep when I felt someone's hand on my forehead. I almost jumped out of my skin. Two Bit was looking down at me worriedly. You feel okay? You're awful hot. I'm all right, I said, and when he looked at me as if he didn't believe me, I got a little panicky. Don't tell Derry, okay? Come on, Two Bit, be a buddy. I'll be well by tonight. I'll take a bunch of aspirins. All right, Two Bit said reluctantly, but Derry will kill me if you're really sick and go ahead and fight anyway. I'm okay, I said, getting a little angry, and if you keep your mouth shut, Derry won't know a thing. You know something? Two Bit said as we were riding home on the bus. You'd think you could get away with murder living with your big brother and all, but Derry's stricter with you than your folks ever were, ain't he? Yeah, I said, but they'd raised 2 boys before me. Derry hasn't. You know, the only thing that keeps Derry from being a Soc is us. I know, I said. I had known it for a long time. In spite of not having much money, the only reason Derry couldn't be a Soc was us, the gang, me and Soda. Derry was too smart to be a greaser. I don't know how I knew, I just did. And I was kind of sorry. I was silent most of the way home. I was thinking about the Rumble. I had a sick feeling in my stomach, and it wasn't from being ill. It was the same kind of helplessness I felt the night Derry yelled at me for going to sleep in the lot. I had that same deathly fear that something was going to happen that none of us could stop. As we got off the bus, I finally said it. Tonight, I don't like it one bit. Two Bit pretended not to understand. I never knew you to play chicken in a rumble before, not even when you was a little kid. I knew he was trying to make me mad, but I took the bait anyway. I ain't chicken, Two-Bit Matthews, and you know it, I said angrily. Ain't I a Curtis, same as soda and dairy? Two-Bit couldn't deny this, so I went on. I mean, I got an awful feeling something's going to happen. Something is going to happen. We're going to stomp the Socia's guts, that's what. Two-Bit knew what I meant, but doggedly pretended not to. He seemed to feel that if you said something was all right, it immediately was, no matter what. He'd been that way all his life, and I don't expect he'll change. Soda Pop would have understood, and we would have tried to figure it out together, but Two-Bit just ain't Soda. Not by a long shot. Cherry Valance was sitting in her Corvette by the vacant lot when we came by. Her long hair was pinned up, and in daylight she was even better looking. That Stingray was one tough car, a bright red one. It was cool. Corvettes are still awesome, but they've always been kind of a top of the heap muscle car. Hi, Pony Boy, she said. Hi, Two-Bit. Two-Bit stopped. Apparently, Cherry had shown up there before during the week Johnny and I had spent in Windricksville. What's up with the big timers? She tightened the strings on her ski jacket. They play your way. No weapons. Fair deal. Your rules. You sure? She nodded. Randy told me. He knows for sure. Two-Bit turned and started home. Thanks, Cherry. Pony Boy, stay a minute, Cherry said. I stopped and went back to her car. Randy's not going to show up at the Rumble. Yeah, I said. I know. He's not scared. He's just sick of fighting. Bob, she swallowed, then went on quietly. Bob was his best buddy since grade school. I thought of Soda and Steve. What if one of them saw the other killed? Would that make them stop fighting? No, I thought, maybe it would make Soda stop, but not Steve. He'd go on hating and fighting. Maybe that was what Bob would have done if it had been Randy instead of him. How's Johnny? Not so good, I said. Will you go up and see him? She shook her head. No, I couldn't. Why not? I demanded. It was the least she could do. It was her boyfriend who had caused it all, and then I stopped. Her boyfriend. I couldn't, she said in a quiet, desperate voice. He killed Bob. Oh, maybe Bob asked for it. I know he did. But I couldn't ever look at the person who killed him. You only knew his bad side. He could be sweet sometimes and friendly, but when he got drunk, it was that part of him that beat up Johnny. I knew it was Bob when you told me the story. He was so proud of his rings. Why do people sell liquor to boys? Why? I know there's a law against it, but kids get it anyway. I can't go see Johnny. I know I'm too young to be in love and all that, but Bob was something special. He wasn't just any boy. He had something that made people follow him, something that marked him different, maybe a little better than the crowd. Do you know what I mean? I did. Cherry saw the same things in Dallas. That was why she was afraid to see him, afraid of loving him. I knew what she meant, all right, but she also meant she wouldn't go see Johnny because he had killed Bob. That's okay, I said sharply. It wasn't Johnny's fault. Bob was a booze hound, and Cherry went for boys who were bound for trouble. I wouldn't want you to see him. You're a traitor to your own kind and not loyal to us. Do you think your spying for us makes up for the fact that you're sitting there in a Corvette while my brother drops out of school to get a job? Don't you ever feel sorry for us? Don't you ever try to give us handouts and then feel high and mighty about it? I started to turn and walk off, but something in Cherry's face made me stop. I was ashamed. I can't stand to see girls cry. She wasn't crying, but she was close to it. I wasn't trying to give you charity, Pony Boy. I only wanted to help. I liked you from the start, the way you talked. You're a nice kid, Pony Boy. Do you realize how scarce nice kids are nowadays? Wouldn't you try to help me if you could? I would. I'd help her and Randy both if I could. Hey, I said suddenly, can you see the sunset real good from the west side? She blinked, startled, and then smiled. Real good. You can see it from the east side, too, I said quietly. Thanks, Pony Boy. She smiled through her tears. You dig okay. She had green eyes. I went on, walking home slowly. He's having all kinds of interesting conversations, isn't he? All right, here we are in chapter 9. It was almost 6:30 when I got home. The rumble was set for 7, so I was late for supper as usual. I always come in late. I forget what time it is. Derry had cooked dinner, baked chicken and potatoes and corn, 2 chickens because all 3 of us eat like horses, especially Derry. But although I loved baked chickens, I could hardly swallow any. I swallowed 5 aspirins, though, and Derry and Soda weren't looking. I do that all the time because I can't sleep very well at night. Derry thinks I take just 1, but I usually take 4. I figured 5 would keep me going through the rumble and maybe get rid of my headache. Then I hurried to take a shower and change clothes. Me and Soda and Derry always got spruced up before a rumble. And besides, we wanted to show those socias we weren't trash, that we were just as good as they were. Soda, I called from the bathroom, when did you start shaving? When I was 15, he yelled back. When did Derry? When he was 13. Why, you figured on growing a beard for the rumble? You're funny. We ought to send you to the Reader's Digest. I hear they pay a lot for funny things. That was a magazine that collected different stories, including funny things that happened to people. Soda laughed and went right on playing poker with Steve in the living room. Derry had on a tight black t-shirt that showed every muscle on his chest and even the flat, hard muscles of his stomach. I'd hate to be the soch who takes a crack at him, I thought as I pulled on a clean t-shirt and a fresh pair of jeans. I wished my t-shirt was tighter. I have a pretty good build for my size, but I'd lost a lot of weight in Windricksville and it just didn't fit right. It was a chilly night and t-shirts aren't the warmest clothes in the world, but nobody ever gets cold in a rumble. And besides, jackets interfere with your swinging ability. Soda and Steve and I had put on more hair oil than was necessary, but we wanted to show that we were greasers. Tonight, we could be proud of it. Greasers may not have much, but they have a rep. That and long hair. What kind of a world is it where all I have to be proud of is a reputation for being a hood and greasy hair? I don't want to be a hood, but even if I don't steal things and mug people and get boozed up, I'm marked lousy. Why should I be proud of it? Why should I even pretend to be proud of it? He's having a lot of deep thoughts as he's getting ready for the fight. Derry never went in for the long hair. He was short and clean all the time. I sat in the armchair in the living room waiting for the rest of the outfit to show up. But of course, tonight the only one coming would be Two-Bit. Johnny and Dallas wouldn't show. Soda and Steve were playing cards and arguing as usual. Soda was keeping up a steady stream of wisecracks and clowning, and Steve had turned up the radio so loud that it almost broke my eardrums. Of course, everybody listens to it loud like that, but it wasn't just the best thing for a headache. You like fights, don't you, Soda? I asked suddenly. Yeah, sure, he shrugged. I like fights. How come? I don't know. He looked at me puzzled. It's action? It's a contest? Like a drag race or a dance or something? Shoot, said Steve. I want to beat those Shoshes' heads in. When I get in a fight, I want to stomp the other guy good. I like it too. How come you like fights, Derry? I asked, looking up at him as he stood behind me, leaning in the kitchen doorway. He gave me one of those looks that hide what he's thinking, but Soda piped up. He likes to show off his muscles. I'm going to show 'em off on you, little buddy, if you get any mouthier. I digested what Soda had said. It was the truth. Derry liked anything that took strength, like weightlifting or playing football or roofing houses, even if he was proud of being smart, too. Derry never said anything about it, but I knew he liked fights. I felt out of things. I'll fight anyone anytime, but I don't like to. I don't know if you ought to rumble. I don't know if you ought to be in this rumble, Pony, Derry said slowly. Oh no, I thought in mortal fear. I've got to be in it. Right then, the most important thing in my life was helping us whip the Socs. Don't let him make me stay home now. I've got to be in it. How come? I've always come through before, ain't I? Yeah, Derry said with a proud grin. You fight real good for a kid your size. But you were in shape before. You've lost weight and you don't look so great, kid. You're tensed up too much. Shoot, said Soda, trying to get the ace out of his shoe without Steve seeing him. We all get tensed up before a rumble. Let him fight tonight. Skin never hurt anyone. No weapons, no danger. I'll be okay, I pleaded. I'll just get hold of the little one, okay? Well, Johnny won't be there this time. Johnny and I sometimes ganged up on one big guy. But then Curly Shepherd won't be there either, or Dally, and we'll need every man we can get. What happened to Shepard? I asked, remembering Tim Shepard's kid brother, Curly, who was a tough, cool, hard as nails Tim in miniature. And I had once played Tim. Curly and I had once played chicken by holding our cigarette ends against each other's fingers. We had stood there, clenching our teeth and grimacing, with sweat pouring down our faces and the smell of burning flesh making us sick, each refusing to holler until Tim happened to stroll by. When he saw that we were really burning holes in each other, he cracked our heads together, swearing to kill us both if we ever pulled a stunt like that again. I still have the scar on my forefinger. Curly was an average downtown hood, tough and not real bright, but I liked him. He could take anything. We'll pause there. The rumble's coming up fast. See you soon.